Long before the great flood, before judgment swept across the earth, there lived a man unlike any other, Enoch, the one who walked with God. He was righteous, wise, and chosen for an impossible mission, to witness the secrets of creation itself. One night, as silence covered the land, two radiant beings appeared before him, faces shining like the sun, voices echoing like thunder. "Do not be afraid, Enoch," they said. "Today you will ascend with us into the heavens." And so began a journey no mortal had ever taken. He was lifted beyond the clouds, through realms of light and darkness, where stars obeyed divine command, where angels guarded the winds, and where the faithful rest beneath the glow of the tree of life. In the heights, he saw judgment for the wicked, rivers of fire and sorrow, but also paradise prepared for those who live with mercy, truth, and faith. He passed through 7 heavens, then 8 and 9, until he stood before the 10th heaven, where the Almighty himself reigns. There, God clothed him in light, anointed him with holy oil, and revealed the mysteries of creation, from the movements of the stars to the destiny of every soul ever born. Enoch became a witness of eternity, a messenger to remind us that heaven is real, that justice and mercy still rule the cosmos, and that every choice we make echoes in eternity. This is more than an ancient legend. It is a message, a warning, and a hope for all who still seek the kingdom of God. If this story awakens something within you, subscribe, stay with us, and together, let's uncover the hidden truths written in the scriptures. The heavenly journey of Enoch, a cinematic retelling long before the flood drowned the earth, before divine judgment fell upon humanity. There lived a man chosen for a purpose no mortal had ever received. His name was Enoch, descendant of Jared, the 7th generation from Adam. He was not a warrior or a king, but a man of deep devotion, wise, humble, and skillful in all that his hands touched. His life reflected quiet holiness. His heart burned for the Creator, and the Lord saw him. Among the noise of the world, Enoch's faith rose like incense before heaven. Because of that faith, God gave him a gift beyond imagination, a journey into the secret architecture of creation itself. Enoch was not taken by death, but by invitation. He was called to walk the corridors of eternity and witness the mysteries of heaven that no human eye had ever seen. One night, as the world slept beneath the silver sky, Enoch lay alone in silence. Then, suddenly, a deep and nameless sorrow fell upon him, a trembling of the spirit that he could not explain. Even in sleep, tears slipped down his face. Then it happened. 2 radiant beings appeared beside him, tall, majestic, shining brighter than molten gold. Their faces burned like the sun. Their eyes blazed like fire. From their lips poured the glow of living flame. Their garments shimmered with a deep violet hue, and their wings glimmered like purest gold. Their hands shone whiter than snow. They stood by his bed and called his name. Enoch awoke, startled, trembling, overwhelmed. His breath froze as he looked upon their light. But one of them spoke gently, his voice steady as thunder softened by compassion. "Do not be afraid, Enoch. The eternal God has sent us. Today, you will ascend with us into the heavens. But before you depart, instruct your children on what they must do in your absence. Let no one seek you until the Lord himself commands your return." Still in awe, Enoch obeyed. He left his dwelling and went to the appointed place, calling his sons, Methuselah, Rahim, and Gad, to gather near. His voice trembled not with fear, but with holy certainty. "My sons," he said, "I do not know where I am going or what awaits me. But I beg you, do not turn away from the Most High for the sake of empty idols or false powers that did not create the heavens or the earth. All who follow them are bound for destruction. May the Lord give you courage and wisdom to live in reverence to him. And hear me well, none of you must seek me. Only when the Lord allows shall I return." When he finished speaking, silence filled the air, the kind of silence that feels eternal. Then, without warning, the 2 beings spread their luminous wings and lifted him. The earth fell away beneath him as he rose into the clouds. This was the beginning of his ascent into the divine realms. The first heaven. Enoch looked up and saw farther than human sight can reach. Before him unfolded what is known as the first heaven. He beheld a vast celestial ocean, greater than all the seas of the earth combined. Waves of radiant light rolled across an infinite horizon. There, he was brought before the elders and cosmic leaders who governed the stars. He saw 200 angels directing the movement of the celestial bodies, ensuring each star followed its ordained path. With majestic wings, they glided through the heavens, tracing the roads of light that spanned eternity. Looking downward, Enoch saw the storehouses of snow, guarded by mighty angels of breathtaking stature. He saw the birth of clouds, their formation, and their purpose before they dissolved back into the sky. Then he was shown the chamber of dew, its waters shining like olive oil, luminous, alive, reflecting the colors of every flower on earth. Angels watched these vaults, opening and closing them at the command of God. Every droplet, every gust of wind, every sparkle of starlight, all obeyed divine order. Creation was not chaos, it was worship in motion. The second heaven, then his guides brought him higher. The brilliance faded, replaced by a darkness deeper than any earthly night. This was the second heaven, a place of shadow and judgment. In that abyss floated beings once radiant, now bound in chains of sorrow. Their forms were twisted, their cries endless. Enoch asked, "Who are these spirits that weep without ceasing?" The angels answered, "These are the ones who turned away from God. They followed their own desires and rebelled alongside their leader, who now lies imprisoned in the fifth heaven." As Enoch looked upon them, a wave of compassion filled his soul. The imprisoned ones recognized him and cried out, "Servant of the Most High, intercede for us." But Enoch bowed his head. "I am only a mortal," he said softly. "How can I pray for angels? I do not yet know my own fate, nor who will intercede for me." The cries faded into the void as he was led onward, sorrow etched upon his heart. The third heaven, then a new light dawned. Enoch found himself standing in a land of indescribable beauty, the third heaven. Here, everything breathed life. Trees towered high, heavy with fruit glowing like gemstones. Their fragrance filled the air with joy. The soil itself shimmered as if alive with divine light. At the center stood the tree of life, the resting place of the Lord when he visits his celestial garden. Its roots reached deep into the boundary between the mortal world and eternity. Its leaves gleamed gold and crimson, its branches aflame with glory. Two great springs flowed from beneath it. One poured forth milk and honey, the other oil and wine, symbols of abundance and grace. From these springs rose four mighty rivers, which coursed gently through the Garden of Eden, spreading across creation and nourishing every corner of the world. No tree there was barren. Every plant sang in silent worship. Around the garden stood 300 radiant angels, their voices weaving hymns that echoed forever. The melody was so pure that Enoch's spirit trembled with peace. He whispered, "This place is truly magnificent." One of the heavenly beings turned to him and said, "Enoch, this paradise was prepared for those who remain faithful even through the greatest trials. They are the ones who turn from evil, judge with righteousness, feed the hungry, clothe the naked, strengthen the weak, and care for orphans. They live justly before God and worship him with sincerity and devotion." For a moment, Enoch felt the warmth of eternity, the reward of the righteous, the rest of the faithful. But then, his gaze was drawn to the horizon. The light began to fade into the distance, replaced by a grim reflection, the other side of this heavenly realm. The shadow beyond paradise there, a river of fire burned endlessly, black and crimson. The air grew heavy with heat and cold at once, an agony of extremes. Chains glimmered in the shadows. Enoch heard the cries of those bound within, and his heart shook. The angel beside him spoke solemnly. "This, Enoch, is the destiny of those who reject their Creator, those who destroy innocence, practice witchcraft and deceit, shed blood without remorse, those who worship idols carved by human hands, statues that neither see, nor hear, nor breathe. Here dwell the liars, the greedy, the envious, and those who oppress the poor. They love darkness more than light. Now, darkness is their portion." Enoch turned away in anguish. The contrast between the paradise of mercy and the fire of judgment seared itself into his memory. Heaven and hell were not myths. They were two ends of one eternal reality, divided by the choices of the heart. The awakening of faith, and so, through the first three heavens, Enoch saw what few ever glimpse: that creation moves in perfect order, that rebellion breeds sorrow, that justice and mercy are the twin hands of God. What he witnessed was not just a revelation for himself. It was a message for all generations, a call to righteousness, compassion, and awe. Heaven is not merely a distant realm. It is the reflection of every choice we make. Each act of kindness builds a bridge toward the light. Each sin denied, each temptation overcome, strengthens the bond between our souls and the Creator. Enoch's journey was far from over. 7 more heavens awaited him, filled with wonders, mysteries, and the glory of the Almighty. But in these first steps of his ascent, the truth was already clear. God reigns over all, in the harmony of the stars, in the cries of the lost, and in the song of the redeemed. The story of Enoch is not only ancient history, it is an invitation to remember, to believe, and to seek the kingdom that never fades. A crushing stillness settled over that realm, yet it was a stillness alive with terror. The air itself seemed to war against the soul, scorching heat beating down without mercy, then a lash of piercing cold that cut to the marrow. Unbearable thirst cracked every thought, followed by uncontrollable shivering that rattled the bones. In that dreadful borderland, cruel chains clinched the condemned, and the guardian angels who stood watch were awe-inspiring and severe, fearsome, unyielding, and armed with instruments of torment. Here, suffering did not ebb, it did not end. The cries rose and fell like tides that never recede, each voice an echo in a canyon without a far wall. I could not bear the sight. This place is horrifying. I cried, my words swallowed by a darkness that seemed to breathe. The beings of heaven beside me spoke with a solemn gravity that stilled my trembling. This is the destiny prepared for those who reject the Creator. These are they who gave themselves to sin and corrupted nature, who harmed the innocence of children and never repented. Here dwell those who practice sorcery, who engage in black magic, who glory in evil as if it were a crown. Here are the liars and the thieves, the sowers of envy and hatred, the murderers who spill blood without remorse. Here are those who curse their neighbors, who exploit the poor for swift profit, who turn away from the hungry, and let the naked and helpless suffer unseen. These never knew their Maker. They bowed to lifeless idols, to statues that neither breathe, nor hear, nor see, gods of their own crafting. Now they stand before eternal judgment. This darkness is the last harvest of their chosen path. The words weighed heavy, yet they were not spoken to crush hope, but to reveal truth. As the vision closed like a gate of iron, the men who guided me lifted their hands, and we rose again. We entered the fourth heaven, and there all was brilliance. The firmament opened like a jeweled scroll, and I was astonished by the radiant paths of the sun and the moon, their movements so exact that no error could be found in them. I watched their lights and knew the difference in an instant. The sun burned with a greater glory than the moon, shining far more brightly and ruling the day with a kind of majestic certainty, while the moon cast its gentler silver over the night. The sun traveled with astonishing speed, like a ceaseless wind that neither sleeps nor stumbles, day or night. Around it were set 4 principal stars, and each of these 4 was surrounded by 1,000 smaller stars. They stood 4 on each side of the sun's appointed course, escorting it in symmetry. Altogether, I counted the host that followed. 8,000 stars accompanied the sun on its daily journey across the sky. About this great lamp of the world, there toiled 15 legions of angels, laboring without pause in service to its appointed work. When night rose like a velvet curtain, the heavens were not left unattended. I saw 1,000 six-winged beings, each led by angels, clearing a path for the sun to pass through the wilderness of darkness with blazing light. Special beings were charged with keeping its flame. They kindled it, guarding its strength so that its fire would never fail by morning. I beheld with wonder the phoenixes in the Shakidri, preachers bound to the sun's mystery. Their feet were like lions, their tails and heads resembled crocodiles, and their bodies shone with the colors of the rainbow. They were vast, each one measuring 900 units, and they bore 12 wings, like the mighty angels. These beings stood near the sun by command of the Most High, carrying its heat and its moisture and managing its power according to the will of God. I watched the sun rise in the east. It began its appointed journey with the seasons and months as its measure, dividing day and night with perfect precision. I learned that the sun emerges through 6 portals in the east, each gate exactly 61 1/4 stadia wide. Through these 6 gates it passes, month by month, according to a pattern that never fails. The sun proceeds in balance and returns by the same paths as the seasons advance. When it completes its round through the 4-fold course of a year, the time pattern is fulfilled and the cycle of the year sealed. Then the men pointed me westward, and I saw 6 portals mirroring the east, exits for the sun as it sets. These gates are aligned with the calendar of 365 1/4 days, the measure of the sun's cycle. I marveled to see how, when the sun vanishes through the western gates, it leaves behind only the trail of its light brushed upon the sky. Yet its radiant crown, its authority and splendor, remains before the Lord, attended by 400 angels who guard that celestial glow. In the deep of night, the sun descends by an underground path, hidden beneath the earth, where it rests for 7 great hours. Half of its journey belongs to that lower plane, unknown to the eyes of men. But in the 8th hour, it climbs toward the east again, bringing back light and warmth to the waking world. When it emerges at dawn, its intensity is stronger than fire itself, and at that moment the phoenixes and the shakidri begin to sing. Then all the birds of the sky beat their wings as if in jubilee, and at the command of the Lord a song rises. The bearer of light has come. He shines upon all the earth. The God of the morning reveals himself in the rays of the sun, and the sun rises again to illumine the world. Thus the rays and the divine light move together, clothing all creation. The men then taught me to measure the movements of the sun, how it passes through those sacred gates that mark each hour of the year. This is why the sun is revered as one of the most powerful of creations. It has a complete cycle of 28 years, after which its course begins anew. Such knowledge was not given to arouse pride, but to kindle reverence. If the great lights keep their order, should not the heart of man seek its order in God? They unveiled another mystery. Before me stood 12 great portals, stretching west to east, through which the moon walks at its appointed times. The moon enters the first western gate beside the sun's path and remains there exactly 31 days. It passes through the second gate for 31 days also, then through the third and fourth, each for 30 days. Through the fifth and sixth gates it travels again for 31 days each. In the seventh gate, it remains 30 days, then 31 at the 8th, 31 at the 9th, 30 at the 10th, 31 at the 11th, and finally 28 days at the 12th. As it enters by the eastern gates, so too does the moon return by the western, completing its cycle. This lunar path keeps company with the solar year of 365 and 1/4 days, but the lunar year itself holds only 354 days. Thus arises a 12-day difference, called the lunar seasons. To reconcile these variations, the wise keep cycles of 532 years. In that span, 1/4 day is omitted in each of the first 3 years and added in the fourth, aligning heaven's clock with the measure of time. During the first 3 years, the extra time is not counted, so that 2 months do not grow and 2 do not shrink. When the sun finishes its journey by the western gates, it returns to the east, and the circle repeats, sunrise and sunset, the pulse of the world. The sun moves faster than any wind, swifter than any spirit, stronger than nature's force, and beyond any angel in flight. The angels who attend this cycle are 6-winged, and they keep a pattern repeated every 19 years, divided into 7 sacred cycles. Between their labor and the music of the spheres, the heavens are never silent. In the intermediate heaven, I heard a sound like dawn breaking through stone, celestial warriors praising the Lord with drums and stringed instruments. Their voices never ceased. The melodies were so sweet and varied that no human tongue could capture them. They soothed the mind and stilled the heart, bathing my soul in a reverent calm. Every note felt like a stair upward, every chord a beckoning toward the holy. Soon the men led me on, and the light sharpened as steel under a whetstone. We entered the 5th heaven. There a countless multitude stood, powerful beings called the Grigori. They bore a human likeness, but were colossal, taller than any giant the earth had known. Yet their greatness did not sing, it sighed. Their faces were weary, their expressions heavy with sorrow. No words passed their lips. No worship rose in that place. I asked the men who were with me, why are they silent? Why are their faces cast down? Why is there no praise here? They answered, these are the Grigori. With their leader, Saturnine, they turned away from the Lord of Light. Their strength became their stumbling, their wisdom a net about their feet. Others like them were cast down into gloom. Here they stand, vast and voiceless, until the justice of the Most High is fulfilled. And so I learned, the heavens exalt obedience, and stature without surrender is only height without horizon. In the blazing order of the 4th heaven and the somber hush of the 5th, a single truth binds the lights above and the hearts below. Everything flourishes by the will of God, or fades for lack of it. The final ascent of Enoch into the 10th heaven, the silence of the 5th heaven lingered like a wound. Before me stood the Grigori, beings of vast stature and ancient power. Their faces were shadowed by regret, their eyes dimmed by centuries of exile. Once radiant guardians of light, now they stood weary and mute, wrapped in the stillness of divine sorrow. My guides spoke softly. These were the watchers who once served before the throne, but they turned away, following the pride of their leader, Saturnine. Others like them were cast into the deep darkness of the 2nd heaven, a prison without dawn. Yet 3 of their chiefs went further still. They abandoned the throne of God and descended to a place called Urban on the slopes of Hillman. There, they broke their sacred vows. They saw the beauty of the daughters of men and took them as wives. Through their union were born giants of violence, who corrupted the earth with cruelty and sin. I trembled as I heard it. The story of rebellion that began with desire and ended in ruin. These angels, said my guides, spread chaos upon the world. They taught men forbidden secrets, bloodshed, and idolatry. For these transgressions, God judged them severely. They now suffer for the fall of their brothers and await their final sentence on the day of the Lord. Moved with compassion, I turned to the Grigori and said, I have seen your brothers and witnessed the weight of their choices. I prayed for them, though I am but dust. But God has decreed they remain bound to the earth until the world's end. Why, then, do you remain here in silence? Why do you not rise and serve the Lord again before his wrath is complete? They looked upon me, silent giants of sorrow, and for a long moment, no sound stirred. Then they lifted their gaze heavenward. A shimmer like starlight rippled across their faces. They sent a message, swift as lightning, across all 4 divisions of the heavens. Suddenly, the silence broke, for trumpets sounded together with a mighty blast. The Grigori stood as one and lifted their voices in a song of lamentation, a sound so deep and sorrowful that the heavens themselves seemed to tremble. It was a hymn of repentance, rising like incense toward the throne of the Most High. When their final note faded, my guide said, "It is time." And once again, the heavens opened above me. The 6th heaven, I was lifted into radiance. The air itself shimmered with light. Before me stood 7 orders of angels, shining as brilliantly as the sun. Their faces glowed brighter than any fire. Their garments gleamed white as lightning. Every one of them shared the same appearance, dignity, and peace. They moved in harmony, like a vast choir breathing as one. These, said my guides, are the guardians of divine order. They oversee the cycles of the stars, the movements of the moon, and the path of the sun. They maintain the balance of the cosmos. When injustice rises, they speak. When creation falters, they issue commands and restore harmony. Their voices are hymns, powerful, perfect, unending. I listened, and their praise was music itself, a river of light flowing through eternity. Among them were other ranks of angels. Some watched over the seasons and years, ensuring the appointed times never fail. Some governed rivers and seas, setting their bounds. Some guarded the fruits of the earth, blessing every field and harvest. Others kept watch over each blade of grass, sustaining food for every living creature. And there were those entrusted with the most solemn duty of all, to record the souls of humankind. They noted every action, every word, every hidden thought before the face of God. No deed was forgotten. Nothing was lost to time. Among these stood 6 phoenixes, 6 cherubim, and 6 winged beings who sang in perfect harmony. Their voices wove together like sunlight through water. No tongue could describe the beauty of their song. They sang not because they must, but because joy itself demanded to be sung. I realized then that time did not exist here. Only praise, only presence. The universe moved, yet all motion was rest in God. The 7th heaven we ascended again. Light thickened around me until it became a living sea. I was enveloped in glory, weightless in its brilliance. Then I saw them, vast armies of flaming archangels, surrounded by unseen powers and invisible forces. Thrones, dominions, authorities, cherubim, and seraphim full of eyes and light, each reflecting the radiance of their maker. 9 distinct orders form the hierarchy of this celestial realm, each moving in perfect obedience. Their wings were fire, their gaze endless, their joy fierce as sunrise. Overcome, I trembled. My body felt like dust before a storm, but my guides touched my shoulder and said, "Be strong, Enoch. Do not be afraid." Then, from afar, I beheld a throne, immense, unapproachable, and yet calling my heart nearer. Upon it sat the Lord, exalted above all things. His presence made the very heavens bow. With reverence I whispered, "What lies beyond this? What is the realm that surpasses even this glory?" They answered, "That is the 10th heaven, called Erevad in the holy tongue. There, God himself dwells. All the hosts of heaven gather there upon 10 great steps, each rank standing according to its order and purpose. They bow before the Lord and then return, singing softly, 'Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. Heaven and earth are full of his glory.' Around his throne circled cherubim and seraphim, 6-winged and many-eyed, radiant with endless fire. They never depart from his presence. Their chant is creation's heartbeat. 'Holy, holy, holy.' My guides turned to me. 'Enoch,' they said, 'we were commanded to lead you only this far.' Then they vanished like morning mist. The call of Gabriel, I was alone. The silence was no longer peace, it was weight. Terrified, I fell to the ground and whispered, 'What is happening to me?' Then the air trembled. A brilliance unlike any before appeared before me. Gabriel, the archangel. His voice was thunder softened by mercy. "Be strong, Enoch. Do not fear. Come with me, for you are chosen to stand before the Lord forever." But fear consumed me. I thought, "Lord, my spirit will fail me." I trusted the men who led me here. They said I would see you, but now I cannot bear it. Gabriel reached out. With a single motion, he lifted me, light as a leaf in the wind, and carried me upward. We passed through the 8th heaven, called Musalot, where the balance of dry and rainy seasons is maintained and the 12 constellations turn in their eternal course. Then through the 9th heaven, Kokavim, the fixed homes of the 12 signs of the zodiac blazing in the firmament. Finally, we came to the summit, the 10th heaven, Aravat, the crown of all creation. Before the face of God I lifted my eyes, and there he was. The face of the Lord shone like burning iron drawn from the fire, blazing, sparking, alive with power beyond thought. No words could hold it, no mind could contain it. His glory was unutterable, limitless, holy. Who am I, dust and breath, to describe the indescribable? I could not number the voices that echoed from his presence, nor count the commands that went forth like bolts of living light. His throne towered beyond measure, not made by hands, not bound by time, encircled by endless ranks of cherubim and seraphim. Their song filled eternity. The beauty of God has no equal. The glory of God has no boundary. I fell on my face, undone. Then the Lord spoke. His voice was strength itself. "Be strong, Enoch. Do not be afraid. Rise and stand before me for all eternity." As I trembled, Michael the archangel came to me. He took my hand, lifted me from the ground, and brought me before the Lord's throne. The Most High looked upon his servants and said, as if testing their obedience, "Let Enoch stand before me forever." The glorious hosts bowed and answered, "So be it, according to the word of the Lord." Then the Lord commanded Michael, "Remove from Enoch his earthly garments. Anoint him with my fragrant oil. Clothe him in the garments of my glory." Michael obeyed. He poured upon me oil bright as morning, gentle as dew, sweet beyond all fragrance. At once my flesh shone like fire. I looked at myself, and I had become as the glorious ones. The scrolls of heaven. Then the Lord called one of his wisest archangels, Travel, keeper of divine records. His wisdom surpasses all others. He writes the will of God upon the very breath of eternity. The Lord said, "Bring forth the books from my storehouses. Take up the swift pen. Give Enoch the finest and most revealing scrolls." Travel approached with reverence. He opened before me volumes that glowed like living flame, and he began to teach me everything written within them. He showed me the structure of the heavens, the foundations of the earth, the depths of the seas, and the movements of all elements. He unveiled the patterns of thunder, the paths of the sun and moon, the seasons, days, and hours. He revealed the origin of the winds, the number of angels, and the composition of their songs. He taught me the laws of creation, the languages of praise, and the order of righteousness. Every truth that now lives in my memory came from him. And as he finished, the Lord himself declared, "Write, Enoch. Record all that has been and all that shall be." So I wrote, until the heavens themselves seemed to lean close, and the ink of eternity flowed through my hands. From Enoch's journey, we find timeless lessons that still speak powerfully to our lives today. First, every soul has meaning and purpose in God's divine plan. No one is born by accident. Though times have changed, each of us is still called to live with righteousness, humility, and faithfulness in a world full of distractions and temptation. Second, earthly life is only the beginning of an eternal journey. Every choice, word, and action is recorded before God, and it is love, not power or wealth, that determines our eternal destiny. Third, heaven and hell begin within the human heart. When we choose truth, mercy, and forgiveness, we open the gates of heaven even in the midst of this life. Finally, faith is not merely belief, but a way of living every day, to love others, to walk with integrity, and to remain close to God in all circumstances. The story of Enoch reminds us that those who truly listen to the voice of heaven will find real light, even in the darkest corners of the world. The revelation of all things, Enoch's final vision. Travel, the wise archangel, continued to teach me mysteries that no man had ever heard. He revealed the origins of the winds, the number of the angels, and the hidden beauty of how their songs are composed, harmonies that weave through the very breath of heaven. He taught me about human life, about the languages of praise, about divine law, and the righteous hymns that echo before the throne of God. Everything I now share, every secret preserved in these writings, was imparted to me by him. Then he said, "Sit and write. Record every soul that will ever be born in the dwelling prepared for each one for all eternity. Every spirit was formed before the foundation of the world, and each soul is paired with another for 30 days and 30 nights." So I obeyed the command of the Most High. I sat and wrote with great reverence, recording every vision, every revelation. When my task was complete, 366 books lay before me, faithful witnesses of the mysteries entrusted to me by God. Then the voice of the Lord called again, powerful yet tender, "Enoch, come, sit at my left hand beside Gabriel." I fell to my knees, trembling, and the Lord said, "Enoch, my beloved, all that you have seen, all that has been created, all that is, and all that is yet to come, has now been revealed to you. Before time began, before the first light shone, I alone existed. From nothing, I created all things. I made the invisible visible and caused the spiritual to take form in the physical world. Listen carefully, Enoch. The words you have heard I have never shared with any of my angels. They do not know the origin of existence or the vastness of my endless kingdom. But to you, I have revealed it. Before anything could be seen, I walked through the invisible from one end of what is now heaven to the other. Just as the sun moves across the sky from east to west, I crossed the void without rest, laying the foundations of creation, shaping what would one day be seen. And there, in the brilliance of his presence, I understood that all things, seen and unseen, high and low, past and future, exist by his word alone. Thus ended my journey through the 10 heavens. I had walked through realms of light beyond comprehension, passed through the prisons of the fallen, stood within the storehouses of stars, and beheld the throne of the living God. I saw the destiny of the rebellious and the eternal joy of the righteous. And through every vision, one truth rang clear like a trumpet. God reigns over all, both in heaven and on earth. I was not chosen merely for my righteousness, but to record what I had witnessed, a testimony for every generation, a message of warning and of hope. It speaks to every heart willing to listen, to turn from corruption and pride, to walk in faith and mercy, to remember that our lives are not forgotten, but written before the eyes of God. The Book of Enoch is not only a chronicle of visions, it is a calling. It reveals the majesty of the Creator, the gravity of judgment, and the glorious beauty of his eternal plan. And now the question passes to you, as it once came to me. What will you do with this revelation? Will you ignore what has been unveiled? Or will you seek justice, repentance, and faith? Will you walk toward the eternal kingdom, or live as though heaven were silent? The heavens still speak. The Spirit still calls. And those who listen will find the same light that once drew me upward through the clouds. May we choose faithfulness, so that one day we too may stand before him, clothed in glory as Enoch was. If this message stirred your heart, share it with others. Let the truth travel as far as the light that first shone on creation. And if you, too, long to walk the path of the kingdom, write in the comments below, "I am seeking the kingdom." May the Lord bless you, strengthen your faith, and guide you toward his eternal light. Until we meet again, walk in reverence, live in hope, and look to the heavens.